RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 YouTube talk show. We are live for a Tuesday edition of the People's Talk Show. Looking forward to connecting and finding out what's on your radar. Got a lot of interesting stories worth touching on, sharing my 2 cents on, as well as getting a chance to hear from you guys as well. So as always, any new members to the community, want to welcome you and also give you a chance to get a quick shout out via the chat. So let me know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to acknowledge your presence. And then when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027 is the number to call to let your voice be heard. All right, let's jump right in. So, wow. So I titled this one Sanctions, Inflation, and Cyberattacks, the three primary subject matters that seem to be catching some attention today from the mainstream news. And I appreciate the community member on the Telegram side of things that brought to my attention the most recent cyber attack, which definitely is it can be considered a big deal just because it has more to do with the logistical framework and how that can put more pressure on this the slowing down of the supply chain thing. So we're going to dive into that as well. So as always, I encourage everybody in the community to get plugged in, join the Discord as well as the Telegram, share articles, share stories so that we all can stay informed throughout the day. Because once again, the mainstream media will only point our attention towards what they want us to focus on and not the bigger, well-rounded picture of what's really going on. So I appreciate that look out there. All right, let me jump in the chat real quick, acknowledge a couple people, and then we'll jump right into some headlines. So we got James checking in. We got Crazy Truth. We got Black Log checking in. We got French Million, if I'm not saying that incorrectly. Milan. Yeah, I'll keep it at that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. We got Jay. We got Shane on Facebook. Dude Boy. You got JoJo. Matt's Administrator. Mr. Darryl checking in as well. Pablo. We got Jackie Gilbert from Cali checking in as well. Appreciate you. What else we got here? The Pothead, Alexandra checking in as well. Faith Parent. All right, I appreciate everybody. Pedro from Switzerland. How you doing, my friend? What city in Switzerland are you tuning in from? Curious to find out. I did a small little stint in Switzerland years ago. Had a great time there and great people. Extremely expensive, and I imagine it's a lot more expensive since last time I was there. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. So let's jump right into some headlines, man. So, and in response to Putin yesterday, basically declaring those two regions as sovereign entities in a sense, it looks like only one nation has signed off on that. And let me actually bring that up real quick. So I gotta dig that one up. But it looks like only one nation acknowledges the creation of those two entities in the Ukraine. And let me try to find it real quick because I forgot to add that into the fold. But let me see if I can add it real quick. And so by just show of hands, or if anybody happen to know, what country might that be without cheating? Any guess out there as to what you guys who you guys might think that is? Let me know. But while I pull this up here, I'll just go ahead and put it on the screen here. But it didn't surprise me whatsoever, but I think it's worth bringing up. So I'll just jump on this real quick just because I thought it was funny. And so Syria appears to be the only nation that acknowledges the recent announcement of those two regions in Ukraine as being actually something that can be done by Russia. So it says Syria supports Russia's recognition of breakaway territories in Ukraine. And so once again, Assad, he's been kept in power based upon his collaboration and partnership with Russia, because it's good to say the U.S. would have been took out Assad had it not been for Putin's basically stance in saying that you're not going to completely ravish the entire Middle Eastern region. So he's still in power, even though Syria might still be a mess right now. I don't really hear about it much these days. It looks like the warmongering shadow government, deep state operatives have moved on, or just something that's not under the radar. But thought this was interesting to see that at least one nation acknowledges Ukraine's recent regrafting of their map there. But anyway, just it's interesting, man. It is extremely interesting. So let's jump right into it today. Let me pull up the article. So I'm sure everybody may have had a chance to listen to Brandon get up there and just try to give his spiel on it. And of course, it's very comical, man. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know, I just have no confidence or trust or just hope in any type of leadership quotations coming from the Western media, Western hemisphere, just because it's at this point they've proved themselves to be more harmful than good for the people in general, i.e. just look at Canada. And of course, I got some information on more details being given as far as who's actually on the World Economic Forum take or payroll, if they even pay their people. I'm not even sure. But anyway, go through this article real quick. It says Biden says U.S. will sanction Russian financial firms, sovereign debt, and individuals after Ukraine incursion. And so it looks like 2 banks will be sanctioned, or actually it says sweeping sanctions on their VEB and its military bank. So 2 banks will be sanctioned, as well as them possibly hinting at targeting some of their uber wealthy over there as well. And of course, all companies that do business with those 2 regions in Ukraine are off limits, even though I'd imagine not too many U.S. businesses really do work over there. Outside of, probably the Biden family might have some operations over there. But other than that, the initial response of sanctions. And so, of course, Russia's been expecting this for quite some time. So it's good to say Putin has a counter to this as well. But we'll find out if the furtherance into that region continues, which I'd imagine it would, because as of right now, it really puts this whole NATO/Biden Western world on their heels, because they're the ones itching for a conflict. But yet it seems like Putin continues to do one thing that makes it very hard for them to use that as a primary excuse for, getting that initial conflict off the ground. So we'll find out. But sanctions. And so when I thought of the word sanctions, I'm thinking like, wow, like sanctions is basically a government entity attempting to crack down on, as they would probably call, bad actors or people that's not operating in line with what they want. So they throw out the word sanctions, which basically hinders people from functioning in the financial world. It limits your opportunities to participate in the debt markets, on the SWIFT system, as well as just access to the Western world's financial order. And I'm thinking like, wow, what else sounds like sanctions? Could we actually consider what's happening up in Canada with this Emergencies Act? Ultimately, some form of sanctions against the Canadian people directly, by saying that if you don't do as we say and play the game the way that we want you to play it, we're going to cut your finances off, freeze your accounts, and basically try to make your life very difficult outside of all the other stuff that's happening with the mandates and all those other totalitarian type policies they've thrown our way. And so sanctions is something I think everybody at some point will be exposed to if you disagree with the governing authorities that is trying to further push their agendas on the world. So just something I wanted to throw out there. And once again, just because as I think about events as they're unfolding, sometime this week as well, we're expecting to hear about the crypto regulatory announcements, and that will definitely be a form of sanctions for the average retail investor. Mark my words, because it's about access in and out of the old legacy financial system utilizing cryptocurrencies, and that will definitely feel like a sanction to a lot of people, because they're going to ask for a lot more than this whole space was designed to provide, because they want to know names, numbers, and everything like that outside of what they already know. And that's going to feel like sanctions to a lot of people, I'm sure, because the whole idea of permissionless, it's not going to be so permissionless moving forward. But anyway, I rant too much. Let's keep it moving. Let's jump on the next subject, which I think is very important. And as I mentioned, for those just plugging in, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And I appreciate the community member that dropped this in the Telegram, because it definitely brought brought my eyes to this attention to this story here. But it says Cyberattack forces Expeditors to shut down global operations. And so this is something that happened like Sunday, and it got no mainstream attention, just because I guess the initial stories of cyber attacks is something we should all be used to by now, because they've done enough warning over the last 6 or 7 months telling us to expect some type of event, and event by event, they're happening well, and they're happening more frequently, and they're flying under the radar. And so, just to give you an idea as to what's going on, how severe this could be, because this is another supply chain issue in the making, but it's deliberate, to say the least. But it says U.S.-based logistics company. Let me zoom in some so you guys can read it as I'm saying here. U.S.-based logistics company Expeditors International has shut down most of its operations worldwide after suffering a cyber attack over the weekend. It says the company published a brief announcement concerning a global operations downtime after the incident, but it didn't elaborate on the type of the cyber attack. It says Expeditors is currently managing global systems downtime due to targeted cyber attacks. The company released on Sunday night another press release emphasizing that the attack forced them to shut down most operations worldwide for safety reasons. So just to give you an idea, it says Expeditors is a worldwide logistics company with annual gross revenue of approximately $10 billion, 350 locations, and more than 18,000 employees worldwide. The company offers logistics solutions, warehousing, supply chain, transportation, distribution, and compliance. And so this looks like a pretty major company in regards to the supply chain and just moving goods and services throughout the world. And they're not the only ones. And so as I go to another article, this shines a little bit more light on it in depth. It gives the same rundown. But then again, there's been a lot of other cyber attacks recently that we haven't heard nothing about or never made the mainstream news. And give an idea, it says earlier this month, Swiss airport management service Swissport reported a ransomware attack affecting its IT systems, which were later attributed to the Black Cat ransomware group. It says another cyber attack on two German oil suppliers forced energy giant Shell to reroute oil supplies to depots over the last month. And it says here, multiple ports in Belgium and Netherlands reported issues after cyber attacks affecting IT services in early February. And it says terminals operated in sea tank, oil tanking, Evos in Antwerp and Amsterdam, were all dealing with issues related to operational systems. So there's been multiple cyber events occurring. And it's just interesting how all these events happen to be key infrastructure type of operations that impact the world, because they're shipping goods around the world. And it looks like it's quite obvious that it's a deliberate plan to halt the real world goods and services from reaching the hands of the consumers, creating much more of that pinch that I think they all want to get underway on top of whatever else is in the pipeline that's coming. And even listening to, I think it was Steve that shared a video. I was actually listening to a video and just hearing more about how more alternative media individuals like, Alex Jones is and all those, the multi-million community type channels, how they're getting word from their sources, from whoever the sources may be, that there's a power situation probably coming, which could last a few months. And that could be the eye-opening moment for the U.S. to all the things that we're dealing. And so that time frame of the power being off, ain't no telling what could happen in accordance to what they want to throw at us. Because with that time frame, whether it's a couple weeks, couple months, or whatever, a large amount of destruction financially would take place, as well as overall destruction of your average household financial order would take place, leading to desperation, which I always say they want, so that they can come in and sweep the American people off their feet with their solution of a CBDC, UBI, and all the other things, only factored in if you have your digital ID. So just stuff to keep, on your radar. Anyway, keep moving. And so along with the sanctions, just some response from the EU partners. German freezes Nord Stream 2 gas project as Ukraine crisis deep. And so once again, this is a pipeline going through the waters there to Germany and into Europe. But ultimately, they're the ones, the EU is the ones experiencing the higher than normal energy prices. So the fact they're cutting off something that can make their lives a little bit more affordable and cheaper for their people lets me know that, of course, the agenda is a lot greater than that, because this is going to hurt Europe more than it will hurt Russia, because they're not hurting for energy right now. But anyway, something worth keeping an eye on. And then on the inflation side of things, in the UK, I thought I would just share this. And so just, when the mainstream news share these stories, it really just makes you think about how, how blessed you are at this current moment, that perhaps you may not be experiencing the type of financial pinch that a lot of people might be experiencing. But yet, once again, this is a deliberate attack against the world or against the people themselves. So not too surprising. But it says, as inflation hits 30-year high, UK households start to buckle. And it just gives more insight into some stories, how people are having to choose, what's more of a priority in their life, whether it be, heat, food, just, housing costs, things like that. So things that definitely, a lot of people never thought they would have to make those tough decisions. So something worth keeping a hold of as well. And then on another note, the CBD side of things, here's something out of Jamaica. It says, no cash, no problem. Jamaica picks tagline for their new e-currency. And so, as we've mentioned before, there's close to 90 to 100 nations working on their CBDC version of their new currency. And so Jamaican is naming its soon-to-be-launched central bank digital currency the Jam-Dex, short for Jamaica Digital Exchange, as governments around the world weigh the benefits of introducing sovereign e-cash. So, yeah, all the smaller emerging nations will get theirs first, and then the G7s will be last, in accordance to how they want to roll this stuff out. But anyway, look at the very top of this. We got the S&P ended, down at a point. Dow down. Every NASDAQ down, Russell's is down. Gold happens to be squeaking up right now as we speak. Silver's up. So that's definitely something worthwhile. So we're actually getting a slight chance to see what how metals, in particular gold and silver, responds in uncertain times when it comes to the deterioration of currencies. And so that's definitely some good news. But also for my crypto people, right now markets are spotty. But once again, I think a lot of the current downward trajectory of the cryptos not only is because of global tensions and the liquidity space drying up, where a lot of people gotta make some tough decisions on what they're going to sell. And I think a lot of this has to do with the possibility of people getting some insight into what's coming with the U.S. regulatory framework for this digital asset space. And so a lot of people might be possibly jumping the gun, trying to dump now, anticipating it going down lower, and of course, so that they can buy it on the cheap. And so that's something also to consider, because I do think Bitcoin would definitely go back down towards this that 20,000 mark. It just seems fitting because of the current conditions. Because once again, it's extremely speculative now, as far as more people getting in for the wrong reasons, and most people not having a core belief in why it's important to have alternatives to their currency. They've got in, they probably put in more than they can afford to lose, and it's automatically, you see numbers start trending down, you panic, and then you sell because you don't want it to go lower. So I think there's more newbies in the game now that don't know the true long-term usage of these type of assets, to where it's going to be a lot of fear selling pretty soon. But anyway, let's keep moving. Let me see. I got a couple more stories that we're talking. So let's touch on real quickly, then I open the phone lines. Here is something I found to be interesting that shows more of the connection between the compromised or corrupt, whichever one you want to use, politicians in Canada and their connection with Klaus Schwab and company. But it says the World Economic Forum in Canada. And so just to zoom in, and I'll call off a couple names according to how this was put together, whatever sources from. I actually grabbed this off Twitter. So, do your own homework on it. But once again, we know that based upon the recent voting, I think it was 185 to 151 in their parliament on people favoring the Emergencies Act, and probably extending it a lot longer than what it needs to be. So if you get 185 people to go for this, I'd assume they're operating on the best interest of the World Economic Forum rather than their own people. And so that's why it makes it easier to believe a lot of these people on this list here. So we got Mayor Watson of Ottawa, we got Premier Doug Ford and Honorable Melanie Jolly. And so all these people here, the president and CEO of BMO. And then what I found to be interesting over here is the head person for the Canadian Pension So we got Mark Wiseman, the president and CEO of the Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board. And of course, pensions, that's going to be, like I always say, I've done many videos saying how the word pensions and the word retirement is going to leave a sour taste on a lot of people's mouths in the next couple years when people realize that, they were sold a lie a long time ago that they unfortunately won't be able to deliver upon. But anyway, more articles I can go to, but I'll save you guys a headache. So let's talk. Feel free to give me a call. What other subjects out there are you guys keeping an eye on? And what are your thoughts on this current Russia-Ukraine ordeal? And, how far can it go? Feel free to let me know. I'm curious. Let's talk. And as always, for those that may be, shy when it comes to talking on the phone, feel free to throw out a comment or two or some thoughts or questions in the chat. Highlight at Rethinking a Dollar so to stand out, and I'll try to share my 2 cents on it. Hey, so Shay Lackey says Doug Ford is a crackhead mayor. Yeah, I don't know him. And so I just, just the fact he's on his list, I he would be my first person that I would suspect as being an individual that's compromised for sure. And mind you, like I always said, there's a good portion of U.S. politicians that are compromised as well. And I was thinking about this, how to try to break it down and distinguish between compromised and corrupt. To me, there's a distinction. Compromised meaning what's going on in its entirety, but yet due to fear of, messing up your family situation and your legacy, you'll just go along with it and you'll choose to pick another subject matter to highlight and not focus on the overarching problems that plagues the world because you don't want to mess up your situation. That's compromise. And what I mean by corrupt, you got a politician that's already on the payroll or through lobbyists, special interest groups or whatnot. They've already sold out their constituents for some type of future payday or something in accordance to the global agenda. And so that's what I mean. Like, to me, when I look at, corrupt, I think of a lot of the far left leaning liberals that are clearly operating in the best interest of the World Economic Forum because they're the ones that primarily supporting the Build Back Better agenda with no questions whatsoever. And all the other American Rescue Package, CARES Act, all those acts that were put together over the last couple of years, when all the stuff that's crammed in there, all that pork, all that stuff that has nothing to do with the issues at hand, but it further benefits, a small group, and they get a cut out of that. Those are the individuals that I'm referring to. But then on the right-hand side, the conservative side, we have a lot of compromised politicians as well. And I know a lot of the community members get mad at me for mentioning, the Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, DeSantis, Abbott. Those people know what's going on, but they're not in position to speak out against it, or they'll mess up their pockets. And so they know what's going on. Rand Paul, does a good job of highlighting some key issues, but he never talks about the main issues. And right now, what I mean by main issues, I've never heard anyone, right or left, actually talk about the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, call out Bill Gates, or talk about, anything to do with that, that situation that they're forcing upon the world. They never talk about it to the level of giving, real information. They'll keep it on the surface and say people should have a choice. Well, duh. Why should people have a choice? Because what the real agenda is. It's not about health type of thing. So that's just me ranting. Anyway, I'm missing some calls. Forgive me. Give me a call. I'll get you back on there. I apologize. Anyway, just had to get that off my chest for whatever it's worth. The pothead says Bitcoin will eat the world. Okay. So, time will tell. Time will tell. Keep in mind, we wouldn't be in this digital revolution time frame, or we wouldn't be in this digital revolution / fourth turning if it wasn't for the excitement that has the world captivated in regards to the words blockchain. So just remember that. Just keep that in mind. Vicious people said premiums. What are we referring to here? LBP says Bitcoin, 20K Bitcoin. Anything's possible. Because mind you, a lot of the price action for the crypto space is all subject to the continuation of the Federal Reserve being accommodative, because a lot of the institutions and all that stuff, the pension plans, mind you, they're coming. But I think right now it's going to be hard for them to sell the board because everybody got to go through their boards and different type of structures to get it approved, to get exposure to it. And right now with the price activity the way it is, it's going to be hard to bring a lot of new suckers into it. So we're definitely going to need the Fed to backtrack, which I think I've seen one bank. I think, so for right now with the whole Ukraine-Russia situation, a lot of the current banking analysts are saying that, we're probably not going to see 7 hikes given the tensions around the world. We might see 6, we might see 5. And then one bank, I'm not sure who it was, I just read the commentary, it said that one bank sees the Fed going negative. And I'm like, damn. So if that's even even an idea, it fits in line with the current trajectory of interest rates. Like it is just a matter of time because, interest rates going up. People say that they have to, they should, because it'll help bring things to equilibrium. But I'm thinking like they don't want things to be equalized right now. They want to reboot the system and start it anew with a new form of currency. So they're not interested in saving they're not interested in saving investors and saving actual depositors and banks. That's not something that they care about. So they have to do something radical. So I can imagine time moves forward, there's going to be more war talk. The U.S. is in need of some type of false flag event. If they don't get it, they're going to create one, i.e. Cyber. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see coming. And it's just growing stronger and stronger every day, in my opinion. Tony B says, Russia says sanctions don't affect them, so who is Brandon sanctioning? Great point. That's a great point. And I said, as I mentioned, Russia has been bracing for a removal from the SWIFT system for quite some time now. And that's why I can see, as the financial conditions in Russia probably worsen, which they more than likely will, as this is the first phase of sanctions announced today, whatever it's for. There's going to be a second phase, third phase, all geared upon Russia's actions. But along the way, they've already de-dollarized. So ultimately speaking, other than just their current population within their country having some financial pain, I can see them, for the sake of trying to get at the West, as well as help ease some of the tensions on themselves as far as the political pressure that Putin may experience. I can see them allowing cryptocurrencies to do what they are meant to do in that country. As far as the Russian ruble, if it goes down, they'll let digital assets become a part of their economy so that they can get some activity over there for their people. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, people Region 9.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Yeah, just coming back from the coast, just driving through the Napa wine area, getting back home. Hey, TV's right on that. Yeah, Russia's debt free. Mm-hmm. They've been planning this for a long time.
Right.
They're debt free. They're not like the U.S. is burdened down with all of that debt and all the rest of that. So it is what it is, man.
Right.
U.S. is stepping in a bunch of dog poo that we don't need to be involved in.
Right.
So it is what it is.
Right.
Hey, but anyway, hey, Mike, so some of that stuff you'll be able to use and barter with and do whatever you want to do with down the road.
Exactly. Appreciate your support, man.
That's what I mean. People, please go out and get this stuff. All the toiletries and stuff, etc. Mike, I was in the store the other day where deodorant. It was a store I regularly don't go to, but I looked at the price anyway. Mm-hmm. They had like $8, over $8 on a thing of deodorant.
Damn.
Yeah, your stuff that was $2.50 a pop.
Really?
On each one.
Yeah.
Yeah. $2.50. So get these things. I know the flea markets are different throughout the U.S. because I ran into this situation with my brother and sister back in the Midwest. They didn't have flea markets like the ones that TV has in his backyard.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing with them that I did with you.
Yeah.
Along with my son that's back in Delaware, I did the same thing. Mm-hmm. So they're squared away, but get the stuff before it's going. All of this stuff, regardless of what it is,
right?
It's going to go up. It's
right.
going to go up. So just get it now.
For sure. And that's the thing, like there's no because of everything's going on, it will never go back down. Like I said, for the last couple of years, everything that we're experiencing now, as far as what you see on the sticker price, is probably as cheap as it's going to get. And so you should have got a lot of it while you could. So appreciate you, man.
Hey, absolutely. Hey, and I sent you a video. It was earlier in the day though, so I'm sure you probably have to go back through your queue there on the RTD email.
Yeah.
But I guess Bill Holter just bought like $4 million worth of silver. Yeah, over the last day or so. It's in there. It's queued up under Bill Holter.
Okay, I see
buys $4 million, and I guess he had trouble getting it. He had to go to all different vendors to get the $4 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and he has a little comment about crypto too. So,
appreciate you, man.
But anyway, it's a 10-minute clip. It's a 10-minute clip, and that's all I have for today. Everybody, take care. God bless.
Thank you, my friend. Be good.
Take care.
Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going?
LBP, doing good, my friend. What's up with you?
Look, man, I wanted to tell Steve, FEMA region, I forget, but if you go to the flea markets down here, all you're going to find is tacos and beer. That's it.
Hey, get it where you can. Get it while it's still cheap.
Yeah.
It's not going to last long, but still.
What's that?
I said it's not going to last you long, but anyway, you might as well consume it now.
Yeah. We got good hot sauce down here, too.
I bet, man. What else going on with you?
Look, everybody, I'm encouraging everybody, go get your weight up and max out all that credit, Mike. They're giving it away at the bank. Run to your nearest bank and take it all out.
I hear you, man. A lot of people have heeded the wise words of LBP throughout the last several months. So appreciate it, man.
Look,
yeah,
I got one credit card in the waiting, and I didn't buy it, and I was it was about what 22 silver.
Yeah.
And I was like, just wait. I'll wait till next weekend. And bam, it shot up and it still hasn't gone down, Mike. I'm waiting.
Yeah. And on top of that, that's just the spot price you're referring to. But I'd imagine the premium as well is probably going up significantly as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be, that's the thing. Like I've always said, it's as cheap as it's going to ever be right now, man. Because even though they may try to slam the price down on the COMEX, but once again, when it's time to go get it, people may not be willing to let it go. And that's the thing, like, even bullion dealers and coin shops moving forward, because of the uncertainty, I doubt many people will be willing to get rid of it at the current price itself without probably jacking up the premiums on it. Because once again, who knows what the real price of an ounce of anything is these days.
The only time I'm cheering for the slam, Mike, and it's not coming.
So be patient. It'll come. But yet, once again, I just, dollar cost average in on a weekly, every other week basis, just because I can't afford to wait. Just because I don't think it's going to be there as people think it will be. So, but we will see.
All right,
you,
Mike.
Yeah, be good.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Let's talk. I see Beverly Smith says Pakistan and Turkey are asking people to help the government by bringing in their gold in exchange for a piece of paper. It's polite confiscation, a likely outcome in the U.S., Europe, UK. Man. So, yeah, I see the desperation that's being shown by governments, in particular the ones that are already having fiat currency issues. I don't think that polite confiscation will come here to the Western world, just because it'll, bring too much attention to the importance of gold and silver, therefore forcing people out of the old legacy financial systems and into metal. So I don't think they want to shine any light on it. And I'd imagine it won't be until months, maybe for sure years down the line, where majority of people realize that their currency is their primary problem. And at that point, I don't think, they'll be concerned with, getting out of their, hyperinflated currency to go get gold and silver, just because most people won't be able to obtain it. So I don't see the government needing to confiscate it because the average Joe won't have it. And so confiscation, I don't think will be happening here. They'll just probably wait till things settle, till things calm down, and just try to tax the hell out of you. So I see taxation being a primary way of trying to benefit off of you and I being smart investors, or not even, but getting gold and silver is not even an investment. It's basically just redemption of fiat notes. So, but yeah, we will see. Hello, caller. Where are we calling from?
Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, my man. What's on your mind?
Shoot. What's on your mind about deflation? How do we protect against deflation?
Deflation. Be patient, and that's why you have some emergency cash on the side. As the fire sales pick up, you'll have opportunity to buy real things.
And that all encompasses the dollar, right?
Oh, having fiat currency, or because not everybody have dollars. So we got a couple people internationally, but having some of your national currency, yes.
Yeah, but everybody's going to have to trade it in dollars eventually.
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Yeah, that is the point that we need to be making on this channel here. Mm-hmm. That the diversity is good, but if you want to get top dollar in a deflationary stance, which I see is coming, and that's on my personal opinion.
No doubt. I agree with you. Well, it's coming. They're fighting it. They're fighting it now because when you say deflationary, I'm assuming you're also referring to just like a all-out market correction. Am I right? Where Dow drops, SP drops, metals drop, commodities drop, that type of deflation. Am I correct?
No, because that's not how it works.
Okay.
The market works on fluctuation. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down for periods of time, and that's why there is no inflation in the market today. Everybody wants to complain about the 7%, but you have to ask why the 7% is there. What precipitated that? Is where you need to be. What started that 7%? It's the ships out in the ocean that couldn't get the goods to the shelf.
Right.
There was no shortage. I mean, if you talk about inflation, there has to be a shortage. There's no shortage of anything.
Right.
You can still go out and find the stuff that you were looking for. It's just at a higher price.
Right. So that higher price, the consumer price, I think is what your average person is concerned with. And the fact that, they're concerned that, the meat on the shelf might be more expensive next week, like type of thing. So that's what I think the average Joe is concerned with, how much can they actually purchase when they go back to the store?
But that's not inflation. That's price gouging on behalf of the manufacturer. Your chicken's higher because of Tyson. There's no shortage in chicken. If you look at who's behind all these shortages, you'll find that there's only 1 to 2 conglomerates that own the whole entire market, like the media. There's only like 6 conglomerates that controls all media.
Right.
So you're going to get that.
Right. And
people realize for what it actually is. It's not inflation. It's the fact that they're price gouging because they know this stuff is not going to go. It's coming down.
Yeah.
And Biden, I mean, who in the Lord? What the heck was he trying to say? Did you catch it?
Yes, I tried to listen to it. Yeah.
The Lord thinks. But and that's the other thing with him. He's trying to get help to fight off Russia from jumping on Ukraine. But Putin needs Ukraine in order to get the Belt and Road system built.
Right. And
the U.S. knows that. And without that, then Germany's going to go the other direction, which the U.S. has forced their hand. UK has to go the other direction. But meanwhile, you're starving your people. It isn't going to last.
Right.
It isn't. And then that's even with this inflation that people are thinking is actually happening.
Yeah.
Look at the bond market. That's your tell.
Yeah.
They don't control the bond market. Everybody's like, oh, they're buying bonds in order to print money. No, they're not.
Yeah,
they're printing bank reserves.
Yeah, very true, man.
So we need to explain that to our people.
Yeah, understandable, man. So definitely, in the meantime, there will be an adjustment of prices temporarily that will send a lot of people into panic. And deflation, in regards to the definition of it, is contraction of the currency supply, i.e., when debt implodes. And so when that happens, I think that'll be a great buying opportunity for a lot of people. But then again, the question will be, will the Fed look to respond, or our government look to respond in a very hyperinflationary style way? I think that will be their response. What will be the response if the market tanks? What will be the response? Will they let it continue to tank, or will they come in and try to, save it?
They've already made their decision. They've already decided to let the markets go. Because if you go to look at these CEOs at Coinbase, if you go to look at Procter & Gamble, you go look at these head CEOs of Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg sold every day last year for a tune of like $56 million.
Yeah.
He took it off the top.
Right.
If you were a businessman and you were buying back your stocks, and not invest in it again, that wouldn't tell me that you're trying to save your company. It tells me you're trying to liquidate your company.
You're cashing out.
Yeah, you're cashing out, and you go look at last year they cashed out for a tune of 94 million, and this year it's 174 million.
Yeah,
and the year before that was 60 some odd million.
Yeah,
so that only tells me that these CEOs and the higher ups in the company are cashing out for a reason. What is your reason?
Right,
you ain't trying to keep your. You're trying to fold your company and leave me hanging with the bag.
Yeah, because I'd assume they know what's coming, and they are sitting there. They are sitting in probably cash or some kind or something else and waiting on a fire sale so they can jump back in and take advantage of the real world items that will be a lot cheaper at that time, I think.
No, they didn't know what was coming.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You think they ain't got inside information?
Hal told them what was coming. That's what happened in 2020. He told everybody this thing's going down. You need to get out, and he gave money to everybody but who?
Your average Joe. Your average Joe. Yeah, we got was
$1,200.
Yeah.
He gave us $1,200, but he gave the big dogs all the money. So what did they do with that money he gave them? They bought back their shares.
I don't know. You know, billionaires been buying a lot of yachts and planes and stuff. Like they've been buying a lot of real world items as well.
Right.
So
that's what if I'm Zuckerberg and I'm on Facebook, that is actually nothing. I'm gonna sell every day until I get enough. And if you look at what he bought three homes in 3 different islands in Hawaii. That's what he did with his money. He bought real item stuff. Gate bought land. Gate bought land.
Yeah, that's not a bad purchase, man. But hey, I appreciate you as always, man. Thanks for dropping some nuggets on us. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Keep your head up.
We'll do. Be good.
All right, bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Appreciate the thoughts and ideas and suggestions. That's where, like, you know, like the complexity of how this whole monetary system is unraveling is extremely challenging at times. And I think a lot of it has to do with being able to truly narrow down and hone in on key definitions on how the word inflation, deflation, eventually hyperinflation, stagflation, and all the other Asians that have not been created as of yet. But, you know, the system is coming to a halt. And, you know, I'd imagine Warren Buffett and all those guys aren't sitting heavy in cash for no reason. So they're not really concerned with, they would rather sit in cash knowing that, you know, the threat of them losing purchasing power is very minute in comparison to the amount of goods and services that they'll be able to buy when things correct that'll make it worth their while to sit in cash right now. But then a response, I think, by the central banks as well as our government to try to call themselves saving the world, if they get to that point, will probably take us towards that unbelievable hyper-inflationary type approach. Not to mention the countless of trillions that exist outside of this country that will come back home at some point when the world realizes that the Federal Reserve has completely gone into hyperdrive. You know, it's a lot of problems, man. A lot of problems. All right, let's keep it moving. Feel free to throw out some thoughts, ideas. The metaverse. I see a lot of talk about the metaverse. They already decided to let it go. He's putting it all in NYC traded companies. Yeah, look what the billionaires are. Look at what the billionaires have been buying and what they're going to be buying. And of course, Bill Gates has probably been the most talked about, with him basically buying up half of the farmland in this country, if not more. And ain't no telling what he's been buying up in other continents as well. So those cats are buying real things while your average Joe is buying things to go into a virtual reality. Well, not the average Joe, but, you know, a lot of people are being steered towards going into the meta. Anyway, I wonder if Bill Gates bought a plot of land in any one of those metaverses yet. I'd imagine the new mainstream news would definitely be telling the public so they can rush in and get, you know, property next to his, like they did with what's his name, Snoop Dogg. I said Fed hyperdrive, so is Democrats spending. Yeah, just government spending in general at this point will not end us, will not put us in a very good position in the end. It says, how come no one is talking about the voting system? Dirty scant. Yeah, the voting system. It's already been compromised beyond belief. Voting no longer matters. Like, in my personal opinion, for some reason, I'm not too confident that we're going to actually have a midterm, because based upon the way that even the mainstream news is setting up everything, the Democrats clearly know that they don't have a clear chance at actually being able to win. So the only thing they could do is try to cheat, and then of course allow all the immigrants to vote and you name it. So I don't think people even really consider it voting anymore. So long story short, I think also, as I start off talking about how a lot of people are talking about the possibility of a power grid situation or cyber attack or something like that, that could definitely come around the same time frame as the election. So I wouldn't sleep that that's an option for them. And so blockchain voting would definitely give more respect, I think, back to the idea of having a true, fair election, especially in a transparent way. I think that would be good, but I don't see politicians ever wanting that, because they couldn't cheat. And they couldn't control the results of that unless they're behind the creation of the software itself. Miles says, I'm buying Enron shares. Jay says, buy whatever Nancy Pelosi is buying. You'll be all set. No doubt. And it's publicly available information. So I've seen people share what she's holding. So definitely it's all done very, very well. So the question is, what's up with Meta? Like, is Meta deliberately being attacked, or is it just a cool off period before they wait to be saved by the central banks around the world? Because I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think for some reason they're allowing it to tank a little bit. Over here says, Mike, do you think Bill Gates bought a cemetery plot? I would be surprised if he did, just because it's his ambition, I believe, to solve what he might consider a problem, which is death, because all these people want to play God. And so I'd imagine he's probably one of those guys who would probably like to be frozen until they, figure out a way to, solve the aging problem and stuff like that. And then he'll probably like to be brought back. No doubt. A lot of those billionaires, the technology for those guys are a lot more advanced than for the average Joe. So I'm sure they're working on how to stop aging and live forever. And that's where the whole, what's it called? Was it Cypher? I think it is. That deals with the human genome and all the coding and stuff like that. That's also on the table. What about fertilizer, natural gas, heating oil, some and all types of tortilla prices? LVP. All right, man. So we approach our 48-minute mark. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. As always, it's good to connect, and it's good to keep our eyes on what's happening and keep our fingers on the pulse as to events unfolding around us. But like always, inflation, deflation, no matter what, like right now, life is as good as it's going to be in accordance to what you make of it. So take advantage of all these opportunities that as they present themselves, because ultimately, no matter what, we all need to function and survive by delivering value to be able to get real world resources. And so definitely prices right now are as cheap as they're ever going to be. So that's something to really look into. Make sure you get your weight up, get your calories up, get your toiletries up, get your energy up, get your water up, get everything you need up, and hope you never need to use it. That's the best way. Be prepared before, hope you never have to use it. That's what you said 3 years ago. What we're talking about. All right, Gates been gone. All right. So anyway, but be blessed, be safe. I will see you guys on the flip side. Back at it tomorrow, same time, same place. Peace. Visit Rethinking the Dollar throughout the day. Your place for news on metals, gold, crypto, you name it. Scroll down to the bottom and you get a chance to see the daily videos, the recommended videos, and more importantly, the 5 reasons to unplug from the monetary matrix, with the first one being the awakening period. Step number 1, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions, average is 60%. Follow up with the alternative perspective with the monetary reports. Consider becoming a supporter of the Rethinking the Dollar platform via Patreon. Get a chance to hang out off air as well as additional information that can't be discussed on YouTube. Any support is helpful. With the crackdown on alternative media, the best thing to do is connect off air. Scroll down to the very bottom. You can find Rethinking the Dollar on Telegram, audio, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, you name it. The most important ones will be the email list where you can get notified weekly, the Discord page, and make sure you connect on Telegram. And last, don't forget to visit the RTD store where you can get merchandise as well as additional information and resources. And most importantly, scroll down to the bottom and get your weight up with all the limited edition rounds only available on the RTD store.